Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to the Chaddy Enders, episode 3. Thank you very much for taking the time to tune in. I'm David Broadbent, and over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, we will be looking back at the time at Latics of one of the most popular players we've had in the last decade at Boundary Park. Before we get stuck into that, though, obviously, I need to thank my sponsors, the people that get involved and make this podcast happen. So a big thank you to AC Tyres, to winning the team there, to NFL Weekends, and to Eden Creative, all available on Facebook or Twitter, at AC Tyres, at NFL Weekends, and at Eden Creative UK. Three fantastic businesses, all run by Latics fans, which I find helps, especially when speaking to them. Definitely helps. Three great businesses there. Check them out. So we move on to today's guest, who had 2 spells at the club. In total, making 84 appearances, scoring 21 goals, and having, in my opinion, the most catchy song of the last 10 years. Delighted today on the Chaddy Enders to be joined by Jose Baxter. Jose, thank you very much for joining us. Great to have you with us. You've just come back from playing in America. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, good experience, good different way of playing, and seeing the world as well. But like I said before, a little bit better in terms of, the game was a little bit more relaxed. You could express yourself. It wasn't like traditional. Some English games is a little bit more, because you're fighting for promotion and relegation. It's turning them and balls down the channel and this, that, the other. Where in America you can't get relegated and you can't get promoted. So I think all teams try and play the right way, and they've got a little bit more freedom and they can relax a little bit more, knowing that there's no pressure in terms of that.
And when you were out there, you were in Memphis, playing with someone else who was at Oldham. Keanu Marsh-Brown had a spell at Oldham. How was he? Was he all good?
Yeah, Keanu was good. Yeah, he had a good little spell, mate. He played well, got a few goals, few assists, and he was sharp. It's just a shame that the season wasn't a 35-game season and only ended up being a 14-game season, really.
Well, you are back now, so great to have you back. I'm going to take you back in time, if I may. And 2012, you ended up at Oldham. So how on earth did that happen? Because the season before, you'd kind of broke through at Everton. You'd played a few games. Unfortunately, now your record's gone. The second youngest player to have played for Everton. Everton had offered you a contract and you decided not to take it up. So how did you end up at Oldham?
So I just felt that I was at an age where I wanted to be playing every week and stuff like that, and I couldn't really be promised that. So I experienced some loans in terms of Tranmere, and then playing men's football and stuff, and enjoyed it. So what I done then was just decided that I wanted to go out and play, and so I turned down the contract, and it was Paul Gerrard who sort of got in touch through Alan Stubbs, and then it was about 2 or 3 months into the season then, and then Dickie gave me a call, and I went in and signed a short-term deal, and then after a couple of months turned into a longer-term deal, which, I love my time there, played some good stuff, went on some good runs and a good FA Cup run, what everyone knows about.
And you made an immediate impact. Your debut against Notts County, you came off the bench and scored within less than 10 minutes. You must have come on, played and thought, yeah, it's all right, this.
Yeah. No, do you know what? I just love playing football, and my pet hate was training Monday to Friday with Everton and sitting in the stands or on the bench of a Saturday. It was, although people were saying you were only a youngster and that, but for me, I was 20 years of age. It's such a short career. So, I see and hear people saying, "Oh yeah, he's a youngster. He's 22. He's 23." For me, that's not young anymore in the game. There's kids like you've seen, like you just mentioned there, a kid who broke the record yesterday, which I'm grateful for. And grateful that I held it for so many years, but I'm made up for the lad who done it as well. And 16, 17 now, there's kids chomping at your toes to take your place.
And so you come into to Oldham. it always seemed when I was working there at the time, it seemed like a good set of lads and a sort of really good team spirit there at the time as well.
He was, yeah, he was. It was a great team. Looking back, they're probably one of the better teams they've had, if not the best in terms of what I can remember. And that's not me just saying that because I was there, but likes of Dean, Wezzo, Big Smutch, Matt Derbyshire, Cliffy, Reece Wabara, we had Groundsy. We had a really good team, and you look at some who come in like Corey Smith. We had who else did we have? We had little Bobby Reid, who's now at Fulham, and that we actually had a good squad. And Tom Rogers, who was a great player, so it was good team.
And you made your mark pretty quickly. You scored on your debut, and then you quickly got a reputation for scoring some spectacular goals. Do you have any that kind of stand out through your time at Oldham?
No, I think every goal, everyone will tell you, and it's not being boring, but every goal's special. As soon as the ball hits the back of the net, that's even in training. It's an unbelievable feeling. So, none that really stand out in terms of atmosphere and that. Probably the Notts Forest one in the cup, which was a great moment, and to beat them away and see all our away fans there, and that was quite good. But in terms of one of the best, I can't put my finger on one right now.
We've had a few questions, funny enough. I'll skip ahead a little bit because you mentioned the Nottingham Forest game, and we probably have more questions about that game coming in than even about the Liverpool and Everton games. It was what a fantastic performance. So I think it was just. I mean, we did a poll on Twitter about favourite away days with the club over the last 15, 20 years, and the Forest one was in the top two. So have you got any particular memories of that day?
I just remember us playing really well, to be honest, and we got a couple of goals, and then I felt quite comfortable. I think I was playing in the middle of the park, or number 10, and I just felt that the game was, we were doing really well, and we deserved to be in front and stuff, and then we got the free kick to sort of put them even further away, and for the game to more or less be over, and lucky enough we're at the back of the net, and then obviously we were at our away end, so running and celebrating in front of them, and it was great times.
Recently, you did a Q&A on Instagram, and one of the questions that you were asked was about managers, and you said that Paul Dickov probably had you playing the best football of your career. Why do you think that was?
He just let me go out and express myself, and obviously, the game now is all tactics and being in the right place at the right time. But he was more just like just go ahead and do your bit. And I think with him being an attacking player himself, it was more like let the attackers attack and the defenders defend. But the modern game now is more, all attackers have to defend as well. So for me, it was just at that time, he just understand how I played and let me go and express myself with no real weight on my shoulders, really.
And we beat Forest, and then next out the hat, Liverpool. Being a Scouser yourself, that must have been. I mean, the build up to that game was nuts. It sort of snowed all week. There was the big sort of balloon on the pitch to make sure the game went ahead. It was live on ITV. The build up to that game was nuts. It must have sort of reminded you of being back at Everton and the big games.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was great. It was great for the club, great for the city as well. It was brilliant. Everyone, you really did see all the fans and everyone get together, and even getting the snow off the pitch and all that. People were coming down to help. It was huge because everyone knew how much it meant for everyone involved. And like you said, lucky enough, we got the win, and what a special way to top off such a busy and big week, like you said.
And the game in particular, I'm sure, as an ex-Evertonian, beating Liverpool was probably pretty special for you personally.
It was, yeah. It was special, and obviously you got a few friends who were at the game supporting Liverpool and stuff, and a few heroes of mine growing up. Being a local lad, you always look at both both teams and see who's the players, and Everton, your Wayne Rooney's and your Tim Cahill's and people like that, and then on Liverpool's side was your Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher's and stuff. So for me, it was nice to get one over on them.
Yeah, and then no sooner had that game done, the draw's made for the next round, and you find out it's Everton. What were your thoughts about that?
It was crazy, really. Yeah, my phone blew up as soon as I thought the Liverpool game was bad, but straight away it was insane. So the Everton one coming, it was a little bit different, the Everton one, because it was old faces and old teammates and stuff like that. And obviously you want to do well and you want to get one over and you want to sort of express yourself in terms to say, well, basically just from a selfish point of view, like, not that they done the wrong thing, because like I said, they offered me the contract, but maybe you should have given me the chance that I thought I deserved, type thing,
And I mean, for me, the equaliser against Everton, the injury time header, was almost as good as actually beating Liverpool. I've been going to Oldham for well over 30 years, and very, very few occasions have I seen it like it was at full time in the Everton game. It was again, crazy last minute equaliser.
It was, yeah, and it's sort of the momentum we had through that. You obviously beating your Forest, then beating your Liverpool, drawing whatever, and last minute. I think in a way we went to Goodison, where in the previous games we sort of was sit back, try and hit them on the counter type thing, frustrate them for a little bit. I think we actually went to Goodison thinking, hang on a minute, we can win this, and went sort of all out attack. And obviously it didn't work, but I think that's the confidence it installed in us getting them results.
And between the Liverpool and Everton games, Paul Dickov departed, and next in was Lee Johnson. Lee, obviously now manager at Sunderland. How did you get on with Lee when he arrived?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. I sort of knew I was on my way a little bit. The Dicky one hurt me a bit because I was so close to him and stuff like that. And Lee came in and he had his way, and we had a couple of games together, and then we had we played Shrewsbury last game of the season. He gave me the armband, which was a nice touch off him, and then it was just he pulled me sort of towards the end of the season and said about Sheffield United coming in for me, and if I stay, he'd build a team around me type stuff, and for me it was nothing against him really, but I wanted to try and test myself a little bit more. I think Sheffield United were in and around the playoffs that year, and for me, I wanted to try and go and win things and try and get promoted and work my way back up the ladder and stuff. So, although I love the club and that, it was a bit of a move where I actually couldn't really turn down.
And I suspect as well, from me being at the club at the time, I know that the club weren't exactly blessed financially, so I guess the transfer fee kind of helped the club out as well.
Yeah, well, definitely. Obviously you go in, you speak to the owner and you speak to the board members and stuff, and you have them discussions, and some of them private, which I'll always keep to myself. But yeah, it was a way of helping the club out as well. And people can say, oh well, you should have stayed and should have played and all that, but people don't realise that that money actually helped and went towards something good, and and obviously went and got a couple of good players off the back end of it, and had a good goal themselves. So I think for both parties it worked out well.
One of the things from your first spell at the club that we can't not talk about is your song. Do you still sing it to yourself now?
No, do you know what? When that song comes on, it always plays in the back of my mind. I can't get it out of my mind, but it's great memories. So every time the song comes on, it always, touching and brings me back to Oldham and Notts Forest away. And when I signed my new contract, and the times they did sing it, so it's always good memories when it comes on.
The lad that invented it, or that claims to invent it, there's been about half a dozen that have claimed it, sent a message saying, please ask him what he thought of it. Did he like it, or did he just think, oh my God?
I loved it. So if you speak to them, tell them thank you. I still see people now and they sing the song. Even Scouts lads and stuff like that, they always sing the song to me. So tell them he produced a good one.
Mate, I've got to admit, I remember being drunk on a stag do and it came on and ringing you, singing it down the phone to you in a stag do, which was both cool and very embarrassing at the same time. Especially because I was the only Oldham fan on the stag do, and I was like, "Oh, I've just got to ring someone." But great times and great memories and great goals at that spell at the club. And then fast forward a few years, you find yourself you're back training at Everton, and you end up back at Oldham. How did the second move to Oldham come about?
So it was Richie. Obviously, I played against Richie and all that, and I had a lot of respect for him. Great player, great fella, and stuff like that. Real nice guy. And when someone calls you, and you actually think, you know what, it was a no-brainer in terms of the club and the bond I had with the fans and that. So that was a no-brainer. But I actually felt that I wanted to play for Richie too. I was thinking, proper footballing fella. Sort of played the game a little bit similar to myself, and I wanted to play for him. So it was an no-brainer. Went down and met Richie, got it sorted, and went on holiday a couple of days later to then receive the news that Richie had left and been sacked, and it was a bit of a bummer.
So what kind of goes through your mind then? So you've signed for the club, Richie Wellens has signed you, you then come in on pre-season and it's Frankie Bum. So I guess you kind of, given that Rich is the one that's had the confidence in you to sign you, to bring you back to the club, are you kind of then going in on the first day thinking, right, what's going to happen here then?
No, not necessarily, but to be fair, there was a few whispers with the lads and stuff who I knew when I signed and stuff, who was saying, ownership and stuff's a bit crazy here, and then you sign and you just think, well, that's nothing to do with us anyway, we just step foot on the pitch. And then obviously Richie went, which is a bit of a bummer, but straight away then you don't go in with your head down, you go in with your head held high and you think, well, let's impress the new manager. And I thought Frankie was brilliant, nice guy, like I said, proper footballer man, great player himself, and it was an honour to play for him as well. It's just a shame that these good people and these good managers who were involved were just involved under not the best ownership, should we say.
And Frankie leaves and Pete Wild comes in. It's Wildy's dream job. He's been at the club for years. He, at the time, spoke very, very highly of like yourself and Peter Clark as the senior pros for helping him out and getting involved. How was it under Wildy? Because, of course, at that time, another cup shock away at Fulham.
Yeah, yeah. It's a case of when Wildy come up, it's up to the senior lads to step up and take control of the dressing room, and help him on his way. You could see it was a job what he wanted, but also it was a job that was really, really new to him. So it was down to us to help him along the way, and hopefully we did that. Which obviously he's come out and said that, which is nice of him to say. But yeah, they were great. They were great to play for as well. And like you said, it's just I honestly think there's four good managers there in terms of Dicky, Frankie, Wildy, and Scholes. But it's just all four people can't be wrong. It's just down to the ownership at that time.
Moving on to Paul Scholes, I think when Scholes came in, for a player like you, you must have looked at that and thought, yeah, this is going to be all right, this.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'm a proper footballer, man. I'd watch any game on the television. First thing I do, wake up. Like I know Wickham are playing Tottenham tonight. I always look for stuff that's on the telly, footy, and I'll get my notepad out now. I'm getting, I'm still only 28. I'm young, but I like to jot down stuff and learn. And I love the game. So for me, watching the likes of Gerrards, Lampards, Cales, Scholeses. Like I watched all them growing up and thinking, wow, what players they are, if I can learn off them. And then for them to come in and know that you're only sitting across the table for a conversation to learn and on the training pitch, and that was a blessing for me.
And of course you did well under Scholes in playing, and then unfortunately such was the the way things were set up at Boundary Park at the time, that Scholes only lasts a month and back to Wildy again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. It is, because, like I said, the club's brilliant, the fans are brilliant, and I actually don't think the owner is a bad person. I don't really think he's a bad person. I just think for me, it was just a case of getting too much involved, and I've never really been somewhere where someone's so really involved and at the side of the pitch with his brother and watching training every day, and then lads who were foreign lads going and speaking to the owners and telling them what's happening and the changes. Now, it was just all over the place, and maybe it wasn't the lads' fault, and they'd been told that they have to do that type thing, but it was, you can't go to war with lads who are going to tell people what's happening in and about the changing room of a Saturday. You can't expect results when people are doing that. So it was just a crazy year, and people say, yeah, but put that behind you and go and play your football. But it's not as easy as that. You're sitting in changing room and looking across the changes, playing centre mid with a lad who's backstabbing you and all your friends and going and telling people what's happening. So it's not really as easy as that.
I think one of the things that they're trying to do, rightly or wrongly, I'm definitely not here to criticise, it's just to throw opinions out there, is they've got the owner's brother as a sporting director, and it seems that the last few managers don't necessarily have that much of a say over recruitment, and it's a lot more of a continental style that possibly doesn't lend itself that well to League Two football.
Yeah, like I say, it's people have the ways, and everyone's different, and everyone has their own strategy and stuff. But I look around the leagues and I see every single team doing stuff differently, and I don't think that every single team can be wrong and they can be right. I give up when I remember the brother telling me how good of a player he was, and then the ball come to me and to kick, and it rolled under his foot, and that's when I stopped listening to him.
So it came to the end of that season, and fair to say that there wasn't much chance of you staying on at the club.
Yeah, which like I say, I'd have loved to, but it's tough when circumstances like that are happening, and there's a lot of uncertainties with everything that was going on, and we're having a kid and a newborn baby, and then wondering when there was a few late payments and stuff like that, which it's very uncertain for her, and it's hard to commit your future to something like that, especially when you've got a family and stuff. So for me, yeah, it was time to move on, unfortunately.
And I've got to mention, I can't talk to you about your time at the club without mentioning your dad, who certainly during your first spell at the club became almost as much of a legend in and around the place as you. For those that don't know, your dad would drive you up every morning for training.
Yeah. My dad's the same. My dad loves the club. He really does, and he was sad to see me go on both occasions, but he understood both times, and he met some great people up there. And like you said, he's just a normal fella who goes and loves watching his son, and he's a football fanatic himself. So yeah, he really enjoyed my time there.
So a few of the questions that we've been sent in to ask you. Best player you played with at Oldham?
With?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think my second time round, I really like Dan Gardner. I think Dan Gardner's a brilliant player, yeah. Especially for me in the 10, and he can get you on the ball and break play up and get you on the ball again. And I think Dan was a really, really good player. I think I linked up on my first spell well with Matt Derbyshire. But yeah, for me, Dan was really good.
Excellent. Do you have a particular favourite game? If you were pushed on one game from your either spell at the club, did you have a favourite?
I think first time round would have to be one of the cup ones. your Forest, Liverpool, in the league. In the league, I can't really think. Second time round, I'd probably say Scholes' first game, scoring my first goal and getting a win for Scholes was probably for me a good one for my second spell.
Nice. Now, one of the things that I've been asked to ask you that I think you've already touched on earlier, actually, when you said you were kind of always watching the game and always making notes. After you finish playing, which hopefully is still another 10 years or so away, do you fancy being a coach or a manager or what? Obviously, you love the game. Do you want to stay in football, punditry or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Never ever say no to any of them. But for me, I'd want to be a coach / manager. I think I'd be a good one. I've been around it since a young age, being around men's football now for 13, 14 years, and played for some of the best managers and learned lots of things. And I'd like to say I know what players want and what players don't want, and when a player needs an arm around them, and I think I can spot stuff like that. So yeah, that stuff. I'm doing my badges this year and going in part-time to work at Everton with the kids and stuff. So it's something that I'm definitely one. But like you said, I definitely want to play for a good 5, 7, 10 more years. But I don't want to stop playing and then go, what do I do now? I want it just to roll over nicely.
And one of the questions wasn't necessarily about your time at Oldham, but if you had to pick out one career highlight so far, what would that be?
Definitely want my debut for Everton in the Premier League. A dream come true. What I wanted to do since a young kid, and I always had 5 big dreams, and obviously playing for England was one. I'd done it internationally, which as a schoolboy, which is a great achievement, and captain my country. But I always wanted to play for England's senior team. Another one was Everton's senior team, which I done, and score at Wembley, and I managed to do that. So for me, it'd be Everton first, and then the Wembley goal second. Yeah.
Excellent. And the final one to throw at you is the people that are still that were at Oldham when you were there, first spell and second spell. Are there any of you who you're still in touch with? Who are you still sort of mates with? I know that I think you're still pretty close to Dan Gardner, aren't you? I mean, there's obviously plenty of Costas knocking around, but not so much at the moment.
Yeah. So me and Dan still speak, quite regularly. I speak to Jack Byrne sometimes. I speak to Matt Derbyshire occasionally. 9 times out of 10, it's when Matt wants a shirt or something like that. He drops me a little text. Who else? It's Jezza. I speak to Jezza occasionally. And Hunty and Dummy from second time. Obviously Callum Lang as well a little bit. So yeah, still keep in touch with a good handful of them, yeah.
Right, that's a perfect place to leave it. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me and for your insights into your time at the club. Yeah, it's been fantastic having you on, mate. Cheers.
No problem, Brody. Anytime, mate.
A big thank you to Jose for joining us on this episode. Coming up over the next few weeks, we will have Will Haining coming up. We've got Lee Croft. We have Wayne Hurst, who used to be Chaddy the Owl. We've got Matt Chambers, who used to cover the club for the Cron for a number of years. And we've got Neil Joy. Neil used to be the CEO at the club, and before that was in charge of all the finance. Neil was at the club for just short of 20 years, so that could be a very interesting episode. Once again, a huge thank you to our sponsors, AC Tyres, to Eden Creative, and to NFL Weekends. Thank you very much for your support in doing this. And thank you to everyone for listening or watching. It's massively appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a good week.